Hello, I'm Rupert Turton, and welcome to the Business Spotlight, where we talk to local business owners about their journey. Today, I'm joined by Jozef Paul, who's the Managing Director of the Jurassic Grill Group and also Bugtopia, Hornsea Zoo. So, going to be a bit of a varied conversation today. Joe, hello. Thanks for doing this. I suppose the first question, just talk to us a bit about Jurassic Grill Group and Bugtopia and how you got into it, how long you've been doing it, all those sort of things.
Okay, so originally I was personally in construction.
Mm-hmm.
I ran my own companies for years. I've been self-employed since I was young. I actually started when I was about 13, breeding gerbils and rats for pet stores, selling them at 50 pence each. And I was quite a young entrepreneur. I used to clean cars and things like that. But then basically I started to do gardens and I started to learn about construction and things like that and got into construction. So it was a very weird thing to go from that to then animals, kind of, in a way. I had rats as a kid. But then I actually took on a small garden centre and decided that it needed to be different because Northamptonshire is full of garden centres, from Bosworths to, you've got so many seasons. They're everywhere. So we thought we need to do something different. And what's in gardens, not just flowers, but the bugs that are actually more important because they do such an important job. So we decided to use my love of animals and my traveling through Australia and things like that. And I had 3 children, so I was used to talking to children. So we thought, when I take my children to a garden centre, they get a little bit bored. So we thought, let's do something different. So that's how we then created Bugtopia. And it was just a bit of a sideline for the garden centre, but actually it boomed more than the garden centre. And then we built a couple of small zoos. We kept one, which is still in Hornsea. It's far enough away that I get involved, but not too involved, because sometimes if you do too much, it's too much. But if you can allow your staff to do what they need to do and for them to flourish, then they can do really well. And it's doing well. It's doing really well. We're hoping to expand it soon. But yeah, so that got me into the zoo side of things, which was a very big learning curve. Loads of mistakes, lots of fun. But it also, weirdly, because we had the small Bugtopia, it got me into food. And we started to have a small cafe. Then we built a smokehouse. So we got more into the burger side of things. And then we decided to bolt on a small kind of dinosaur park that people didn't really know was in Kettering. And we were starting to kind of outgrow the site. So we looked at the chimichangas in Kettering. And that was where the idea was born. And it wasn't actually, weirdly, myself. And I'm going to be honest, it was actually our agent that said to us, he said, right, so how are you going to afford to pay the deposit and this, that, and the other? I said, oh, we'll sell some dinosaurs. And he kind of turned to me and said, dinosaurs, sorry, digress. I said, okay, basically, we've got some dinosaurs. We're not going to need them now. We've got doors. And we were looking at maybe putting the Bugtopia upstairs, having the smokehouse downstairs, and this, that, and the other. Bugs and food don't go very well, so we decided not to do that. And he said, well, why not have the dinosaurs in here then? And boom, it was born. So Grill, on that moment, within 30 seconds, I designed the whole site. And I was like, sorry, my other phone gets done up.
You want to start that bit again?
Yeah, sorry.
It's all right.
Can you grab this, please?
How many phones have you got?
3.
Bloody hell.
Yeah, personal, and then 2 businesses. So you've got to be always contactable for everything. And if one's going, the other one's still got to be available. If you know what I mean. So I'll turn this one off. That one's already on silent. So I do apologise. Just make sure this one is definitely off. And the problem is when you're working with 3 phones, they've all got different ways of turning the volume off. Where do you want me to start?
I years ago rationalised down to 1 phone. I just can't deal with having more than 1 phone.
So. Yeah, no, it's difficult with the 3 companies. With the 3, well, I've actually got 3 companies, but with personal life as well, I've got 5 children, so I have to balance everything up.
Yeah, kids have to contact you. Yeah, so if we're talking about Bugtopia, starting up in Kettering, and the idea to do Jurassic Grill.
Yep.
So actually, can you pick up from there?
Yeah, that's absolutely fine. So,
Cool. Well, hang on. We're going to clap again. All the editors will get upset.
no. So we decided to then move the Bugtopia, and the idea was to take on the chimichangas in Kettering. And when we went into there, we decided that we'd probably put the Bugtopia upstairs and the smokehouse downstairs. And we thought actually bugs doesn't work with food. It's not a good idea. You don't want cockroaches in the burgers. Also, the chap that we were with said, "How are you going to afford this, Joe? How are you going to be able to pay the deposits and things like that?" And I said, "Well, I'll sell some dinosaurs." And he was kind of a little bit confused. He said, "Please digress." And I said, "Well, we've got some dinosaurs on one of our sites that we're not going to need. They're going to be they need to be outside really, and we're not going to have space. We want to be indoors." And he said, "Well, why not bring them in here?" So we said, "Okay, oh, that's incredible! What an idea!" And within 30 seconds, it was born. So yeah, I kind of owe it to him. He's a great chap, still a good friend. And I said, if we ever sell it, he's got a piece of that pie, because really, and then it grew from there. We went from there to Rushton Lakes, and then we carried on to then up to right the way down south, and then up to Loch Lomond.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. So you mentioned earlier as well that you made loads of mistakes. So what was the biggest learnings that you made along the way?
To always accept the negatives and not the positives. So we're a very customer-facing business, which takes a lot of information from our reviews. We've always grown heavily from, instead of advertising ourselves, we allow our customers to advertise us. So from the days of Bugtopia, we would really promote for them to use Facebook, use Instagram, so really using that social media aspect. But sometimes, because we were a independent, small family-run business, my mother's involved in the business, my daughters actually work for me, my partner in the business is my partner in life. And so whenever you have someone say a bad thing, you take that into consideration more than the 100 good things that people have said.
Makes sense.
So we would change our business to kind of fit into the people that were the negatives, and there was such a small amount of people, and it kind of changed the business in the wrong way. So we've learned now to accept those negatives, learn from them, but not always act upon them. Because everything we do with good intention as a business, and we do things for the right reasons, for health and safety, for profit, for this, that, and the other. And sometimes these customers don't quite understand why things should be done in a certain way. And that can be difficult, because you're trying to make it inclusive for everyone, but then also you can't be perfect for everyone. You can only do what you can do, and sometimes it's understanding to take it on the chin and just go, okay, right, we've learned from that, let's do that, but not automatically straight away change. And that's where we kept finding problems, that people would say, "Oh, we don't like this part of the business," so we instantly change it. By the next day, it would be changed. And then we'd then come into loads of problems, and we were like, "Oh, we better go back." And then we weren't creating stability, and that was for our customers either. So we've learned now to just stay stable, keep going, and then hopefully that means we can concentrate on the end goal more, instead of concentrating on the now, to concentrate on where we're going in the future.
And actually what you've just described is the difference between management and leadership, isn't it? Leadership is very much about setting the direction and giving a steady ship. The management component is much more about the instantly reacting to things, getting people doing the right things at the right time. So it's setting the course and then dealing with the local issues as and when you have to as well.
Exactly. And it's one thing that my managers say to me is, "You are so calm when something goes wrong." Because I say to them, "Well, I've done some worse mistakes in my life. I've done this, that, and the other. The things that you've done, maybe an allergen's gone out incorrectly, and we just have to learn from that mistake, retrain, and carry on from there." And also, in my line of work, it rolls upwards. So it comes back up to me, especially being so close to the business. It comes back up to me. I have to learn and then retrain back down. And I find that that's the best way that we seem to have run. And that's why a lot of managers enjoy working with me, because they go, "We feel that we can keep learning because you're still learning, we're learning. You don't beat us up for mistakes. you help us to grow, nurture, and learn from them to then carry on from there. Some companies would just go, right, see you later. We don't do that. We stand there, we find the issue, and we try and rectify it and proceed forward. So as you would with a child.
Yeah, I suppose so, isn't it? And it sounds like actually that's a very value and culture-based statement you've just made as well.
Yeah, culture is really important in our business.
So when you're hiring staff, then that must the hiring of the right people for your business, from what you've described so far, and their ability to deal with the public, as you said, very public facing, and also it sounds like you're giving them the framework to make decisions for themselves. So how do you find hiring those sort of people?
In management is quite difficult. It's very lengthy. We're actually hiring for our site down south. Sadly, our manager, her childcare fell through. Great manager, but with the childcare falling through, she just said, I can't do this anymore. So we're now looking for someone else. The process is very lengthy. I have an initial call with them just to make sure they're the right kind of candidate. Quick brief questions. Then it goes to head office. Head office have a more thorough kind of interview process where they're going through scenarios and things like that to do with maybe something happens and we're trying to find out what they would do in that situation. And then also I then re-interview at the end. And so I get down into the nitty gritty, ask them some serious questions, where they want to be, this and that and the other. And then we seem to find that if they're there for that whole period of those 3 interviews, it's someone that really wants it. And we also find that if we get the right managers, we can allow them to kind of run that business as their own almost. We oversee and we give them everything that they can do. And if we see problems, we'll try and pull them and lead them in the right direction. And sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't. We're still learning about our role as directors and managers to make sure we're getting it correct. Sometimes some managers need a lot of help, and sometimes you can have these real phenomenal ones that you can just. My Loch Lomond site, Fiona, is absolutely great. She works hard, she's there, she's making it her own basically. All the locals know her. It is Scotland, but all the locals know her. And from further afield, people are coming in and saying, "We'll come back again," and the reviews going up and up and up. And that's a brand new site. And I usually allow a good year for a site to really gel, but that site's really come together already in 6 months. So doing very well, really good.
Typically, then, how long are your managers in post? If that's
we like them to be there for a long time. So our Rushden site, the manager there, he started off as a deputy, moved into management good 18 months ago. So he's been a long time with us. Then we've got Loch Lomond. She's been there since the beginning. So she's been with us now nearly a year because we hire them during the construction process as well.
Oh, right. Oh, good. Yeah.
The reason why we do that is they get their hands dirty and they get involved. They hire their own staff and they feel that they've got a site that is almost there. So when they see that someone's not cleaning an area that they were on their hands and knees cleaning themselves, the same as us as directors, as we go in and construct and help build, they feel that worth of that site and they get upset that they want it done and they make sure it is done that way. And then our Kettering site, so Kettering, Nikki's been with us, I think, around 3 years now.
Right.
So yeah, we have quite good longevity in our managers. Then we have our deputies, and I've got one of the assistant managers or deputy managers, down in Southampton is my daughter Anna. She's now 20, but an absolute monster in the industry. She's incredible at what she does, and that's not me just being a father, but she is a little powerhouse. She's been with us now for years, absolute years, and she started from the bottom and worked her way up. Even though she's the daughter of the owners, we didn't give her that golden kind of ticket. You work for it. She worked from the bottom and worked her way up, and it really does show. So she's been with us a long time. I've got my exec chef and works in head office, been with me 5 years, 6 years now. So we do have a good longevity with the right people, which is good. Whiteley, though, the turnover of managers is a bit quicker. The industry down there, everyone's trying to offer more money to try and grab your managers, especially if they see a good one. And we seem to find the good ones, but then it's trying to keep them, and people just, it's hard. The industry is hard at the moment.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Wow. I love it as well. I mean, actually, what you're doing just sounds right from from my perspective as well.
Thank you.
So what have you learned about yourself during your journey as a business owner then? Because if you've been doing it since you were breeding rats and gerbils, so you've been doing this a long time.
Yeah, I've only learned in the last few years to really try and separate life from work.
Yeah.
I was very much an alarm would go off at the zoo, and at 2 a.m, I'd be driving over to make sure everything was okay. Instead of calling my manager, because I felt my manager should have a good night's sleep.
Yeah.
It's having that separation, and now that I'm giving the managers more of their role and their kind of position within the business, they're now seeming to take that on. We had the issues with the fire alarms at Rushton, and they were straight in there and dealt with it that evening. They were actually off on holiday, and we're dealing with it for me. So, making sure that separation is there and giving people the right roles. And as a director as well, leading, but letting people, delegating to let people do what they need to do, so that you can concentrate on what you need to concentrate on.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I suppose it's the circle, isn't it? On the one hand, you have to lead and let the managers do their jobs. So the other side, you've also got to come through and support the managers to make sure they're the best they can possibly be.
Also, as a small business, you've still got to be watchful. Because even the small costs that are there, someone's buying multiple mops every week, and you're thinking, why are they breaking so many mops? And you've got to look at it and find out where that problem is and why there's a problem there. Why is Timmy breaking a mop once every week? We've got to find out. Do we need metal handles? Do we need wood handles? It's those little things that I try and get involved with, just to help it run along and be correct. So yeah.
Okay. So looking at the future, then, what are your aspirations for the companies in the next 5 years?
It's a difficult one with the nature of the business right now. Because we don't know what this market is going to do. We know people are starting to spend slightly less. We're hit a bit harder being a family-orientated business as mortgages are going up.
Yeah.
Some people are really struggling, and families will tighten up. And it makes it a bit harder for us. So we're not sure what's coming. We're being offered left, right, and centre different sites. We've been offered global, but we're a company that does not want to run before it can even walk. So and even going through COVID, we're still getting over COVID. We're still paying, for instance, the loans and things like that. So we've never been a company to have debt as such. So trying to get rid of that before we then grow is part of it. But we are being offered more and more sites and more incentives to be there. So it's not off the cards at the moment. But we may keep expanding. We're not too sure. Yeah, so
it's a decision to be made.
Yes, it's be continued.
Yeah. Okay. So a slight change of tack then. What would you say to anybody thinking of going into business?
Make sure you're passionate about it.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever it is, be passionate. Because if you have passion, the people around you will feel that passion and they'll want to be involved. If you go into a business that you really don't care about and you're just there for the money, you're not going to kind of achieve. And people aren't going to want to back a person that really doesn't care. But if you're there as a leader, you should have people that want to be involved, want to follow you on a journey, a dream to become, like we say, the best children's restaurant in the UK. So that's what we try to achieve. And also, don't be scared. Take a risk. Make mistakes. You learn from those mistakes. They're the best thing you can do. For instance, Walt Disney was in the gutter and then ended up, so he built a business, was in the gutter again, and built it again to what we all know and love to be Disney. So, you make the risks, make the mistakes. They're there to be made, and just learn from them.
Yeah, I suppose it's an attitude change as well, isn't it? You've got to look at making a mistake as a positive, as opposed to a negative, and just take the learnings out of it.
Yeah, don't give up easily. So keep pushing. It can be hard. Some days you'll look at it and go, "Poof, I think I'm being paid less than the pot wash." The amount of hours I'm doing, the amount of work I'm doing, I'm stressed. And then some days you look at it and go, "Actually, this is working." this is to achieve that goal, and we're going to get.
Yeah, and that's actually going back to what you were just saying. If you don't love the business, you don't have the motivation and the drive to do it and the vision of to what it could become, it's very difficult to motivate yourself when you're having those down days. Easy when you're having the good days, harder when you're having the down days. If you've got that vision, you can always see, you've always got that, this is where we're going, this is why I'm doing this.
Yeah, I think one of my real big kind of helps is my family. So we'll be out somewhere and my son will just all of a sudden just kick out, my dad owns Jurassic Grill, and I can tell he's proud. And he'll be there, like, he'll just be talking to someone, and there'll be someone there, and he'll say, "My mum is the owner of Jurassic Grill," and it's that pride from our children that does also help us to have that drive to know that it makes them happy, and it makes them want to achieve as well, which is good.
Yeah, cool. So you sort of just touched on Walt Disney, but who is the person that comes to mind when you think of success?
Obviously Ray Kroc. Read his book multiple times.
Yeah.
Started very late in life, and still just really had passion for something and an idea and just went for it.
Yeah.
So McDonald's, we all know and love, and he was right in what he said. The arches, the golden arches, to be almost like as recognizable as the church. More children now, it is said, recognize that more than the cross. So he did exactly what he said he was going to do. So having that drive and he had the right people behind him. So I took his book and used it to mentor me to be able to think about how I wanted to proceed. Someone as mere as his secretary ended up becoming one of the most powerful women in America within the. So he took the right people with him to do what he wanted to do. So and obviously Mr. Walt Disney himself. So interesting. I mean, some of his ideas and I don't agree with, but on the business side of things, obviously he was very driven. So it's good.
Yeah. And actually, McDonald's is a lovely example of using process to drive the business as well. Let's face it, that's how McDonald's can run their business with 19, 20-year-olds managing all their stores, isn't it? It's so much about the process and making sure everything happens consistently, so you always get the same experience in a McDonald's store.
Yes, yeah. Even I mean, weird to say, but even our menus, we call our allergen menus in head office, we actually call it McDonald's style allergen menu. We've kind of copied their scheme in a way, the idea of how they've done it, because it is a much simpler format. So it is great to almost step on those great shoulders to learn and achieve. So it's been great and it's a great story to follow. Beautiful. Yeah,
absolutely. No, it's been lovely talking to you today. Really fascinating insight actually to everything that you've been doing across the businesses for the last quite a number of years now as well, and also your story as to how you got there was really very interesting as well. But thank you for that. If anyone wants to try out one of the Jurassic Grills, where do they need to go to?
Just pop onto our website, jurassicgrill.co.uk, and get yourself booked a table. Do book, because they can book out pretty quickly.
Cool. Joe, thanks for your time today.
That's okay. Cheers.